Hello students, in this video we are going to use your graphics calculator HP Prime to try and figure out the domain and range of certain functions. So let's look at this example. You are supposed to first make y the subject of this equation and then sketch it on your graphics calculator and determine the domain and range of the function. So of course, when we make y the subject, we will try to get rid of anything else which is not y. So in this case, I'm going to subtract x squared both sides of the equation. So on the left-hand side, when you subtract x squared, of course, you will have only y. And then on the right-hand side, we will have 1 minus x squared. So once we have that, we will take our calculator. I'm not very sure how your first screen looks like, but you can always press this button app function, and here is where we are going to type the function formula. In your calculator, you probably will see here in between f1x, f2x equals, and so on and so on. In this app, it doesn't really show, but it's not really a problem. We will just type this part of the equation, 1 minus x squared, into your calculator. So let's try that. 1, subtract, and button for x is here. So just click once. And then we have a squared button as well. If the power is a different one, 3, 4, and so on, then we will have another button. But for now, I'm just going to use this for squared. And say OK. And the formula is there. And then afterwards, if you click this button plot, then you will see how the graph looks like. Of course, we know it's a parabola facing down. And you see there, it looks like the vertex is at 0, 1. And here you can see as well, when x is 0, then the value of fx is 1. So its image or its partner is 1, using this formula, 1 minus x squared. There is a way to actually check the vertex as well, the coordinates of the vertex. You can always press this button. In the calculator, it will say menu, but it doesn't really show here on the app. So if you basically click there, you'll have some other options. And you should choose the third one from the right, which is function FCN. Again, it doesn't really show here. However, I've taken a kind of screenshot of the real calculator, and then you should get something like this. So if you click FCN, then you get a list of things you can choose, and if you click number 4 for extremum, then it will give you the coordinates of the vertex of this parabola. So extremum can be maximum or minimum, and in this case, because the parabola is facing down, then you have the maximum point 0, 1. So what can we do then afterwards? Here we see on the graph that if you think about the domain, which x value can I actually enter or use in my function, you see that you can actually enter anything. And if you look at the graph, if I go to the right, to the left, you can go on forever, and on the right hand side you can also go on forever. So basically any x value is okay. So how would you actually write the domain if that's the case? Then we will say, okay, the domain is basically any real numbers. So we have learned in class how to write that. So x is just any real numbers. So how about the range then? So we see here, as we said before, the vertex, the y value is maximum 1, right? There is nothing above that. And anything below 1 is the range of your function, a value that you can actually get from your function. So then we will just write that here. So the range is basically y value, which is anything less than or equal to 1. So 1 is the maximum, and anything less than that is in your range, but not above. Okay, so I hope this helps. Let's go on to the next question. All right, now square root of 8 minus x. So we will try again to go to app and function, and this time I'm just going to erase this and we will type our function root 8 minus x. So for that you need this button here where you can type any kind of mathematical notation, operation, and so on. So I see here a square root icon, and if you click that you can type here whatever is underneath the root sign. So then we have here 8 minus x. Say OK, and we press plot. There you go, we have the graph. And clearly when you actually inspect and think about it algebraically, of course you cannot enter any value of x which is greater than 8, because otherwise then you will have 8 minus a number greater than 8, then you have a negative result, and you cannot take square root of a negative number, that we already know. So then of course here the maximum value of x that you can enter is actually 8. So you see there 8, 0. If we are not very sure, we can always check what it is. You can always go to here, the numerical view button, and from there you can actually go and check when x is 8 what happens. So I can actually scroll down. You see here when you have 8, x is 8, then the function actually gives you a result of 0. However, when it's anything greater than 8, then it's not a number. So basically nothing, is not a real number. NaN stands for not a number. Okay, so let's see and go back to the graph. So you see here the domain is then value of x. Anything which is less than 8 is okay, but not greater than 8. So let's write that. So the domain of your function is any x values less than or equal to 8. 8 is still okay. 8 minus 8 is 0. So then root 0 is still 0, but not anything greater than that. And the range, when you look at the graph, or when you think about it algebraically, of course, minimum value you can get is 0, right? Because root 0 is 0. Anything else will be actually giving you a value greater than 0. So when you see here, it goes on and on and on and on up, but there is nothing at the bottom. There is no negative value on the y area here, on the y-axis. So then we will just write down, okay, the range then will be anything greater than or equal to 0. Okay, last question. We have y minus 2 equals 0, and again we need to make y the subject of our function. So we have y equals 0 equals 2 from adding to both sides of the equations. So y equals 2, of course we know that it's going to be a horizontal line. You probably have learned this before, but we will just again try to get used to your graphics calculator, and then we are just going to try and enter y equals 2 there, and then say plot, and then you see here obviously it's a horizontal line, y equals 2. So any x value you enter into your function machine will just give you a result of 2 for any kind of x. And the thing is, it goes on forever to the left and to the right. You can enter any x value. So clearly the domain is any real number. So again, we get used to how to write that. X is any real number you can enter into your function. And the range, interestingly enough, it will always just give you a value of 2. Nothing more, nothing less, always 2. So I hope then you can get used to using the functionalities of your calculator, and I hope the video helps you. Good luck!